Hello, welcome to first of a new series, Gangrene UK's 5-minute flight. For us, we're going to be talking about anything that was in the news with the Jets in a particular week, or something that was historical for that week, or anything that really just needs a little bit of a discussion. Keeping them all short, hopefully keeping them nice and focused. And so today, to start with it being the week of the birth of Weeb Ewbank on the 6th of May, it made sense, I think, for us to open with the coach that delivered the Super Bowl. Hopefully, very soon we might be talking about another coach who's done that. But for now, we've only got the one. With me from Gangrene UK today, we've got James.
Good evening. How are we doing?
And we've got Kane.
Hello.
And I'll hand over, first of all, for Kane just to tell us a few little things he's been researching and finding out about Weeb.
Yeah, I've got a couple of bits. He was the only coach to win a championship in the NFL and the AFL, which is pretty cool. Rex Ryan's last game as a head coach actually ran a play that Ewbank ran in the Super Bowl as a tribute to him, so that's cool as well. Took Namath and Unitas from nothing to NFL champions, basically. Namath was the first 4,000-yard QB. And a bit of a morbid one, but shows passion. When his wife found him, when he actually died at 90 years old, he had his Super Bowl free game plan on his dress, so he's still reading it and still passionate about that game till the very last day.
That's nice. Nice, at least from that point of view, from a Jets fan point of view, that it was the Jets that he had in his mind, and indeed in his heart at the end. That was what he was looking back over.
Never forgot about us.
No, that's good. That's fantastic. So thanks for that, James.
Yeah, so been reading up on the guy. I didn't know the whole lot until really looking into him, to be honest. But it's a couple of interesting stories. One was kind of he brought the Colts from really kind of bottom dwellers to AFL champions, whatever it was, 2 times. And then after a bad season, he was kicked to the curb by the Colts. Then went to the Jets, obviously, turned them around, and in winning us our first Super Bowl, he actually beat the Colts. I thought that was it's kind of stuff in the film, isn't it? Retribution and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
There's also modern pass pro, kind of what you see more in the modern NFL now, where the line attacks the defensive line. He was one of the originators of that. He basically started that in the 60s or something like that. But that was quite interesting. And also, because NFL rosters were only 32 players, he would teach all of his skill positions to play wide receiver as well as running back. So they could lose a receiver or lose a running back, and they could switch out all the players. So very versatile in his style of coaching. So yeah, seems like an interesting man.
Yep.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, some of the reading up I've done, there was a little bit about he developed a way of judging the players, how they were performing in matches and how well they were doing, and there was 0 stars, 1 star, 2, and so on and so forth, counting everything. It's almost like you do it on a computer these days. So he did it all with his coaching staff, just kind of by hand, and just sort of working out on paper in order to work out how well the players were doing and what they're looking for. The couple of stories I like, the one that I really like, and thankfully was able to do a bit more research and find out a little bit more, because Weeb, as well as head coach, was also the GM, and he was known to be careful with the money. You do well to get much of a pay rise out of him, even after winning the Super Bowl. And there was a story which I think Don Maynard tells in one of the NFL films, in fact, which when he was negotiating with Weeb for a new contract, they would write down on a piece of paper the number, and Weeb would push his number across, Don would push his number across, Weeb back and forward, and they agree eventually on a figure. Although at one point, apparently, when the figure comes across to Don Maynard, he just says, "That's the janitor makes that much." So that's not a great start. And they finally agree on a figure. And Weeb says, "Look, don't tell anyone about this. Keep it a secret." And Weeb says, yeah, sorry, Don says, yeah, don't worry, Weeb. I won't tell anyone. I'm as embarrassed about this as you are. But, you know, rather than finishing on Weeb being so controlling with the money, I think it's another story which is all to do with exactly the same thing, was contract negotiations with the centre John Schmidt. And they'd agreed a figure verbally, but in terms of writing the contract, time had basically run out and they didn't have time to finish it off. So Weeb says to John, just sign the blank contract and I'll fill in the details later, which is, let's face it, a pretty, pretty risky move for a guy who's known to keep the finances tight. And when in fact the deal came through, Weeb had agreed to up his figure by $1,500. So, you know, maybe it wasn't all that. And I think John Schmidt possibly says in an interview about that point, you know, I love that guy. So it's a nice kind of finish.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, James. Thank you, Kane. Hopefully, people watching this have enjoyed it. If you did, obviously give it a like, give it a comment. Let us know. We intend to be back next week. We'll let you know what that'll be about. We've got a couple of ideas, and obviously if there's anything that you guys watching this would like us to cover at some point in the future, anything of interest that you've got or anything you want to try and, you know, direct us to sort of research a bit and talk about, then absolutely fine, do that. But yeah, please, as I say, give us a like, give us a comment, give us a thumbs up, and whatever else, whatever platforms you find this on. You know, any constructive feedback from people is always appreciated. So that'd be awesome. And as I say, hopefully this time next year we can do something on another head coach who's led the Jets to a Super Bowl win. Yep. Fingers crossed, eh? Thanks, gents. See you next week.
Cheers.